What about this loss? Any particular element that might kind of haunt you most as you head into the offseason?
I mean, for me, it's just, starting all the way over, watching other teams still play, that sucks. I think for me, just the realization of, I'm going to my 17th season, for me. So that's the reality of it. For me, just, you don't have many opportunities left to give yourself a, chance to compete in the playoffs, and that's all you kind of want, at this stage of your career, is just have a chance to get in there and, see what happens, and not necessarily playing, for me, just, being in the playoffs last couple of years, it's not something I desire or not a goal for me, So for me, a lot of that'll be on my mind.
Obviously, it's easier if you're able to get stops to play with pace. But do you think that you guys could have still accomplished that in this one?
I mean, yeah. If we don't have that second quarter that we had, I think we give ourselves a fighting chance. But to give up 44 points in a quarter, it's tough. The run that they went on, the turnovers that we had, we kind of dug ourselves a hole, and it was tough to get out of that hole, from that second quarter. Take that second quarter away, I think, we give ourselves a great shot.
DeMar, I know you literally only had minutes to reflect on it, but how would you just assess this roller coaster of a season, your one season here in Sacramento?
I don't know. It's, I think it really won't hit me for the next couple of days. It's probably the most I've been through in my 16-year career. The season that we had, it was a lot. It's too hard to kind of like fathom right now, but I'm pretty sure over the next, couple of days it kind of hit, the reality of everything, we all went through.
DeMar, forgive me if I'm putting words in your mouth, but when you came here, I believe you came here to compete for a championship, and for it to end this season, to end this way, how difficult is that? Obviously you said you're processing and everything, but how difficult is that realization? I
mean, it's difficult. Like I said, I'm not trying to play another 5-6 years, and you only got so many years, that window, close quick. Like I said, just, that was my 16th season down, It's just crazy to think about it next time, I suit up a jersey, playing a game, it'd be my 17th year, So, like I said, when you think about it from that perspective, it's definitely tough because you don't get many opportunities and you don't want to waste the opportunities that you have left either. So, it's tough. Everything don't always go the way you want it to go, and sometimes that can be frustrating. But, I think, it's just part of life. Like I said, the next few days, I'm sitting think.
DeMar, to that point, there's some uncertainty like here. I just wonder how much, the direction of the franchise and your own future is going to be weighing on your mind in these days to come.
I mean, of course, you always want kind of, a foundation that's stable and understanding, going forward. I'm pretty sure a lot of decisions got to be made from top to bottom. Like I said, next couple of days, next couple of weeks, just processing everything that kind of went on. From a personal standpoint, that's going to be a priority. Then, we see what happens from there.
DeMar, what has the city been like? I know the season just ended, but what, seeing a sold out crowd for a playing game here, what was your experience in the city like this season, specifically with the fans?
Whole year, the fans, it's been great. I've been honored to play for some great fan bases, and Sacramento-Kings is definitely up there with that. The respect, the passion, the love that they bring every single night. The city, the fans, it's amazing. Some of you, it's hard to come by great fans that support you through it all. You got to appreciate that, and I appreciate it every single moment. That's why, from my standpoint, I always try to make it a priority to go out there every single night and play. I never wanted to miss games, miss a couple games early. It was frustrating because, I just wanted to be out there and, represent for this organization.